Greetings, viewers and listeners. I am Sir David Attenborough, royal naturalist, scholar of arcane zoology, and commentator upon the remarkable wildlife of the fantastical realms. For centuries, sages and adventurers alike have catalogued the extraordinary creatures that inhabit the world of advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Yet few have attempted to study these beings not merely as monsters, but as part of a living ecosystem. Through the use of this ancient artifact, a palantir, an orb of far-seeing, I am able to observe distant lands, different planes of existence, forgotten ruins, and the hidden wilderness where these creatures dwell. From this chamber of study, we will explore the habits, societies, and survival strategies of the most fascinating beasts known to adventurers. But of course, observation alone is rarely enough, which is why I have enlisted the assistance of a most enthusiastic field correspondent.
Good day, everyone. Steve Irwin here. Now, while Sir David's safely watching through that fancy wizard crystal, I'll be out here in the field getting up close with these incredible creatures.
It's wonderful to have you join the exposition, Steve. Together, we will begin cataloguing the many creatures of this world and beyond, starting with those described in the great tomes of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, from trolls and ghouls to dragons, aberrations, and beings stranger still. And once those entries are exhausted, we shall venture further, examining the many unusual creatures introduced across later editions of the game. Each episode, we will uncover the truth behind these legendary beings, their habitats, their societies, their strengths, and their weaknesses.
Exactly, David. We will together explore this fantastical world and leave no stone unturned. I'm ready when you are. I have my handy cloak of invisibility to get intimate out here.
Then perhaps we should begin? Welcome to the Dungeons and Dragons Bestiary. Today, we turn our attention to a creature both curious and deadly. At first glance, it appears little more than a woodland fowl, a rooster wandering the forest floor. But beneath those feathers lies something far stranger. This is the cockatrice.
Crikey! Look at that little beauty. Now, most folks think this thing's just a strange chicken with bat wings and a feathered tail, but trust me, mate, this bird can turn you into solid stone.
Quite right, Steve. The cockatrice is not merely a creature of fantasy. Its origins stretch deep into the folklore of our own world. Medieval bestiaries describe the cockatrice as a monstrous hybrid, born from a rooster's egg, incubated by a serpent or toad beneath the earth. The resulting creature was said to possess the body of a bird, the wings of a bat, and the tail of a serpent. In these ancient tales, the cockatrice carried a terrifying power. Its gaze alone could kill.
And that's one critter you definitely don't want staring you down. Now, those old stories made the cockatrice sound almost unstoppable, but the scholars of the advanced Dungeons and Dragons world have discovered something slightly different.
Indeed. Within the ecological records of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, the cockatrice is not a creature that kills with its gaze. Instead, its claws possess a magical property that petrifies living flesh. Victims struck by the creature begin to transform into stone, slowly at first, but inevitably.
Which means if this little bird scratches you, you're not just hurt, you're becoming a statue. And statues don't run very well.
Unlike the legendary cockatrice of myth, the D&D variety behaves much more like a natural predator. It nests in forests and rocky hillsides, lays clutches of eggs, and hunts small animals and unwary travelers. In this way, the creature becomes less a mythical curse and more a fascinating example of magical adaptation within its ecosystem.
Still, If you see a rooster with bat wings and a snake tail, you might want to give it a bit of space.
Among cockatrices, the sexes are not equally represented. Females are rare, considerably larger than the males, and serve as the dominant figures of the species. A mature female often maintains a small harem of males, each competing for the privilege of remaining within her territory. During the breeding season, rival males engage in elaborate displays of strutting and wing spreading, their crests raised high as they attempt to impress the female. Occasionally, these displays escalate into brief but violent clashes. Yet the stakes are high, for only those males accepted into the harem are permitted to mate.
And let me tell you, mate, these fellas really put on a show. Lots of puffed up feathers, wing flapping and crowing. It's like a barnyard brawl, except every contestant has the ability to turn you into stone.
Fortunately for the cockatrices themselves, they possess a unique biological or magical safeguard. They are completely immune to the petrifying abilities of their own kind. This allows members of the species to interact, compete and fight without the constant risk of turning one another into statues.
Which is lucky for them, because if they weren't immune, cockatrice courtship would leave the forest absolutely covered in stone chickens and probably would end their lineage day one.
For these creatures, the power of petrification is not a passive defense. It is a tool, one they can employ at will, a hunter's weapon and the defining trait of one of the forest's most unusual predators. Despite their fearsome reputation, cockatrices display a surprisingly attentive form of parental care. Once a mating group is established, the cockatrices seek a secure nesting site. Unlike many birds, they rarely construct nests in the open. Instead, they favor established caves, rocky hollows, and abandoned burrows. These locations offer protection from predators and shelter for their eggs. Curiously, cockatrices are known to decorate these nests with shiny objects, coins, gems, polished metal. Whether this behavior serves a practical purpose or merely reflects an instinctive attraction to glittering objects remains uncertain.
But it does mean that stumbling onto a cockatrice nest might look a bit like finding a tiny dragon hoard. Only problem is, the dragons guarding this treasure are about the size of geese and just as deadly.
Here she lays a small clutch of eggs, usually 1 to 2 brownish-red, rust-speckled eggs per month. The survival rate of the eggs is very low, 1 in 4 chances of hatching. But when they are fertile, they hatch within 11 to 19 days. At first glance, they resemble those of an ordinary woodland fowl. Yet what emerges from them is anything but ordinary. Within days, the hatchlings begin to stir. Young cockatrices emerge, covered in soft down, their small wings already bearing the leathery membranes that will one day carry them into flight. Even at this early stage, the serpentine ancestry of the species is visible in the slight taper of the tail.
Now look at these little beauties. Aren't they adorably monstrous, tiny claws, fluffy feathers, and just the beginnings of those leathery wings. Now you might think chicks like these are harmless, but even young cockatrices can be remarkably feisty.
The mother remains close, guarding the nest fiercely. Cockatrice chicks grow quickly. Within weeks, they begin practicing short leaps and wing beats, testing the muscles that will eventually allow them to glide between branches and rocky ledges. During this time, the young rely on the parent for food, small insects, rodents, and occasionally fragments of petrified prey. The cockatrice's most remarkable ability lies in its capacity to transform living matter into stone. Some sort of silicon dioxide compound similar to shirt or quartz. When the creature strikes with its claws or beak, a magical reaction spreads rapidly through organic tissue. Flesh hardens, blood crystallizes, and within moments the victim may be rendered a lifeless statue. Curiously, this effect extends not only to flesh, but to many organic materials. Leather armor, cloth garments, wooden equipment, even parchment may begin to stiffen and siliconize under prolonged exposure.
Which means if you're wearing a nice leather jerkin or traveling cloak, you might find yourself turning into a stone mannequin before you even know what happened. But here's the interesting bit. Metal armor actually gives you a fighting chance.
Quite indeed, Steve. Metallic materials appear resistant to the cockatrice's petrifying influence. A warrior clad in full steel armor may find the creature's claws unable to reach living flesh. This limitation has not gone unnoticed by the cockatrices themselves. Over time, they have developed a simple but effective hunting strategy.
They go straight for the face, mate. Or the neck, or any little bit of exposed skin. These birds know exactly where to strike. So if you're wandering around with your helmet off, you're basically painting a target on yourself.
Adventurers, if you and/or your companions fall victim to petrification, it is possible to reverse the effects, such as via basilisk oil, the stone-to-flesh spell, or the magical ointment stone salve. There are different approaches used on other planes of existence, but we'll just cover the common ones used in the Forgotten Realms. Despite this formidable ability, cockatrices are not merely feared. In some cultures, they are valued. Their feathers are prized by certain wizards and scribes who craft them into specialized quill pens, used when inscribing powerful magical scrolls. It is believed that the residual magic within the feather aids in binding arcane energies to parchment.
So that's one bird feather you definitely don't want to lose. Imagine writing spells with something that used to belong to a creature that can turn people into statues. That's some serious magical ink work.
More ambitious individuals have attempted something even more unusual: the domestication of cockatrices. When raised from the egg, these creatures can occasionally be conditioned to recognize their handlers. Magical communication, such as the spell Speak with Animals or skilled animal handling, greatly improves the chances of success. Proper precautions, of course, are essential.
Very essential. Because if your pet cockatrice gets startled, you might accidentally redecorate your living room with a few new statues.
Those who succeed, however, gain an extraordinary companion. A trained cockatrice can serve as a guardian, deterrent, or even a battlefield ally. Imagine a heavily armored warrior, druid or priest advancing into battle, accompanied by such creatures. Few enemies would eagerly approach a flock capable of petrifying them where they stand.
And honestly, mate, if I saw a knight marching toward me with a bunch of cockatrices at his heels, I'd probably decide that fight wasn't worth it.
Rightly so. For while the cockatrice may be small in stature, its power is among the most feared in the natural world. And there is another, even deadlier variation as well. While the cockatrice is already a formidable creature, nature occasionally produces a far more destructive relative. This rare variant is known as the Pyrolisk. At first glance, the creature resembles its cousin closely, sharing the same avian frame, bat-like wings, and serpentine tail. Yet several subtle features reveal its true identity. A single crimson feather marks the end of its tail, and its wings carry a faint reddish cast, as though stained by embers. These markings serve as a warning, for the Pyrolisk is no mere predator. It is an agent of fire.
Now this little terror is a whole different problem. Where cockatrices mostly hunt for food, Pyrolisks seem to enjoy causing chaos. If there's something nearby that can burn, odds are this bird's going to set it on fire.
The Pyrolisk's most feared ability lies in its gaze. Unlike the petrifying touch of the Cockatrice, the Pyrolisk possesses a supernatural death gaze of flame. Those who meet the creature's eyes must summon immense strength of will. Failure results in instant immolation, the victim consumed by magical fire in a matter of seconds. Those fortunate enough to resist may escape with only severe burns. Curiously, once a creature has resisted the Pyrolisk's gaze, it cannot be affected by that same gaze again.
Which means if you manage to stare down one of these birds and survive, you probably don't want to test your luck a second time.
The Pyrolisk's abilities extend beyond living prey. With a glance, the creature may ignite nearby flammable objects, causing sudden bursts of flame similar to magical pyrotechnics. Dry leaves, wooden structures, even unattended supplies, all may erupt into fire at the creature's whim.
So if one of these birds wanders into a village, you'd better hope someone puts it out quickly, because the whole place could go up like a bonfire.
Steve, spot on. Unfortunately for us, and fortunately for them, the Pyrolisk itself is entirely immune to fire. Neither natural flame nor magical conflagration can harm the creature. This resistance allows it to move freely through the infernos it creates. Even such destructive creatures have rivals. Among the few beings capable of opposing the Pyrolisk is the legendary Phoenix, whose mastery over flame rivals the creature's own. Encounters between the two are rare but spectacular.
Now that would be a sight to see. A firebird versus a fire rooster.
The Cockatrice lineage itself is not without weaknesses. For reasons scholars still debate, cockatrices possess a profound instinctive fear of weasels. Even the smallest weasel may drive a cockatrice away. Larger varieties, such as the giant weasel, are known to hunt and kill them outright.
Which just goes to show you, nature always keeps things balanced. Even a monster that can turn you to stone or set you on fire has something out there that scares it.
In the wilds of the realm, power alone does not guarantee survival. For every predator, there is always another waiting in the shadows. And that will conclude our coverage of the Cockatrice and the Pyrolisk. Everyone, thank you for joining us in this extraordinary exposition to give an animal documentary twist on the creatures of Dungeons and Dragons.
Much love, and please like, share and comment what you like, what creatures you'd like to see, or any constructive criticism. We're adults here and want to give a fantastic experience to you viewers and listeners.
Until then, stay blessed.